All right, so firstly, I just want to start off by saying much love, respect, and appreciation to all of the new subscribers directly to the platform, right? So, shout out, much love to y'all. This might be your first time actually running up on a live stream that I'm actually doing. So, the first update that I technically want to do is about the NYC hospital worker. I do have a video that will be coming out. Talking about that pretty soon. But long story short, the lawyer and both the New York Post decided to state that the woman has receipts and that I'm probably gonna have to mute that. And and that they have proof that she ended up actually paying for the bike and yada yada yada. They also wanted to further try to state the fact that the woman is pregnant and that this altercation or this melee, right? They wanted to try to paint it in that type of way because you're dealing with young black teens and young black men. And I'm going to identify them as that because nobody can verify specifically what their age is, right? Um, at no point in time in both or all three of the New York Post articles did they ever actually post the receipts from the woman stating that she used her Citibank app in order to be able to use the bike. At no point in time, but they stated that they have proof. The New York Post also stated that, hey, we saw the receipts, but yet the way that you talk about it is as if you're going to show it specifically in the articles, which you did not. The lawyer, at any point in time, from at least what I've been able to gather, has not shown those receipts at all either. And this is why I, in a sense, liken this back to the Jonathan Majors um, event issue story. Whenever there were receipts, when it dealt with the woman, they showed you video. When it dealt with receipts dealing with text messages, they showed you that. So that's a serious event, right? Those are accusations that are taking place. And you have people basically stating that, hey, this black man did something, and we're going to show you receipts, right? Dealing with Jonathan Majors. But for whatever reason, at this moment in time, when it's dealing specifically with this issue, they're not showing any type of receipts. This will be a very great time for them to actually pull out those receipts and showcase those receipts, right? Because the main thing that people want is proof. The woman was trying to prove that something was horribly happening to her. You heard her yelling, help, 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 as if these guys, as if these young black males were really trying to do something to her. She was listening, oh, you have you're pressing your arm against my fetus. I am 6 months pregnant. Nobody could tell that you were pregnant up until you decided to say something. And even at that point, you still decided to press your body against his arm, which was just firmly directly on the bike, stopping you from moving that bike, right? And then on top of that, you have the coworker that works, I'm guessing, at the same area. He decided to interject himself into the situation, telling the black man, "Hey, why don't you guys just hook the bike back up and take your account directly off of the bike so that she can have it?" If you're trying to fix a situation, the main thing that you want to do is that you want to hear both sides, right, of the situation. You're not going to automatically come from out of the blue, halfway on one ear on the phone, in the other ear hearing the situation, and you're going to decide at that moment in time that, hey, this person is right over these other two people. That's not how you settle a dispute. That's not how you settle a dispute at all. If he realistically, just being honest, if he really wanted to settle that dispute, he could have actually offered up, he could have ponied up his own money and decided that, hey, I want to sit up there and pay for your bike, since it seemed that there's some type of issue with how it is that the bike is being paid for, or who had it first or whatnot or whatever. Let me offer up my money. Let me throw a couple of dollars your way so that you can get this bike after working that 12-hour shift. You're 6 months pregnant, so let me just help you move on that way. That would have been a route that he could have decided to take, but that's not what he wanted to do. And again, it's pretty shameful that the New York Post wants to try to state that what we were able to view as a melee. A melee is usually when somebody throws hands. Like if you're old enough, you might remember, what was it? The brawl at the Palace. Basically, at a Pistons game, people were throwing beers, chairs, everything that they can get their hands on. Right? That's a melee. That's a brouhaha. Right? That's a battle. That's a fight. This was not any of that. But again, I just want to remind people that certain words, certain verbiage will be used when it specifically details and it's surrounding young black men or the images of black men. This is what the media and others like to do. They want to try to up certain things and downplay certain other things, right? They tried to say that in a sense that she was assaulted or whatnot or whatever, or the baby was in harm's way. Again, if the baby was in harm's way, she was the one that put the baby in harm's way. She could have easily got onto another bike. She knew that she was 6 months pregnant. Nobody else knew that. Again, she decided while being on that same bike to the young black man or teen that was holding on to the bike, she decided to reach over, right? Nope, this is a pregnant woman. She reached over and decided to touch his person in order to get his phone and to snatch it away from him. Now, at no moment in time in that video that we were all able to see, they said that the video gained, traction of 10 to 11 million people, right? At no point in time in that video did you ever see those young black teens or those young black men ever touch her, ever reach on her person, ever try to really grab her and shake her up and really try to show her what. At no point in time did that ever happen. At no point in time. And this again, when I tell people like, yo, you need to pay attention to the narratives that they like to spin directly out here when it deals with a black face. If at any moment in time they can potentially try to paint somebody, as a problem, they're going to decide to do it, right? Other thing that I wanted to also talk on is this right here, right? This is dealing with um, Asian woman. She stated that she's 19, right? She stated that she wanted to apologize to people for using the N word. No problem. No problem. You can go right ahead. You can do that. The fact of the matter is that you, as an Asian person, should have never used that word at all. Doesn't matter if you grew up around black people, you love black culture, and all of these other types of things. At no point in time should you or any other ethnicity out here decide that, hey, I basically a part of the black culture. I grew up around black people. My friends are black and da 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 da. That doesn't give you the okay to do it. And the main thing that I've stated before is that black people need to stop giving the okay to a variety of these people to decide to use these words. I've stated this when it comes to both black men and black women, right? Because this is a community issue because black people as a community decide that they want to allow a lot of different people in, a lot of different walks of life in, and they want to make it acceptable for those walks of life to say and do whatever it is that they want to do. But then at the same time, black people want to turn around and get mad when those same people that they welcome in, they're now stating things and saying things in a certain type of way that may be disparaging, that may come off, a bit nasty, or you might not be specifically sure how it is that they mean those words or those terminologies and so on and so on and so on. So again, I'm just stating that, hey, black people, stop allowing individuals like this to come into the black community just because and I listed some stuff too. I had some people in the comment section, they were trying to tell me like, hey, I get what it is that you're saying, but you're off on, what it is that you're stating. My main point is she shouldn't have been saying it. She knows that she should not have said it at all. I pointed out both, for examples, LA, shout out to the people in LA. And I pointed out New York, shout out to the people in New York. But somebody else also listed Florida as well, right? But again, and this is just speaking directly on the wordage of using the N word. Again, there's no reason for you to use it. I've been amongst a variety of different ethnicities. I've talked to a variety of people. At no point in time did I ever want to or think that it was okay for me to use a certain type of language or wording that they use to describe each other. I'm going to just come in and partake in that same thing. Nah, like I said, that's what they do. That's their stuff. I stay on my stuff, they stay on their stuff, but we're still here, right? That's the difference. That's what showing respect is. And the main thing is that black people are the only ones that tend to show that type of respect to other cultures, but then when we allow and let other people in, we tend not to get that same respect. So it's not because black people aren't respectful or don't respect. We do. We love, we cherish, we respect, we value everybody else's culture. Case in point, we can go to anime. That is specifically Japanese culture. That is Japanese drawings. That is Japanese animation. That is Japanese storytelling. That is Japanese imagery. No matter how European it is made by Japanese people, by their minds, by their hands, by their studios. Again, don't care how Europeanized it looks, it is still theirs, right? And we respect it. We love it. We cherish it. We don't try to sit up there and make a mockery or anything of it. The main thing that we do is that we might emulate it, right? Because we love it and we like it so much. We grew up with it, right? That's what we do. If black people actually love something, we will sit up there and show that type of love. We will show that type of value. We will show that type of respect. But again, when it comes to other people, when it deals with black culture, when it deals with black American culture, that is something that you don't necessarily get or that you see. Once people are here, they're like, oh, let me put my feet up. Let me put my shoes on the couch. Let me start drinking out of all of your cups and mugs. Let me not wash no dishes. Let me not sweep around here. There's no type of respect. No type of respect. And I'm going to list this as well. That's because black people are too respectful of other groups, of other nationalities, of other cultures, right? Everybody's completely fine and dandy when we're respecting their culture. But the moment in time that we tell people, like, hey, we've been sitting up there showing you love and respect for so long, like, yo, you need to throw some of that back. Symbiotic relationship. That's when people are like, oh, I don't understand why black people think that this is just their thing. Why are they trying to, gatekeep this and that? You can't gatekeep other people just like you can't, gatekeep and tell other black people what to do. Like I said, I've gotten those comments directly in the comment section. And people wonder why it is that black people, in a sense, don't really have a culture, right? That is respected. Everybody else has a culture that is respected, but black people. Even though, emulation wise, you can look from Korea, you could look to China, you could look to Vietnam, you could look to Japan, you could look to Europe, you could look to Australia, you could look to Russia, you could look to Albania, you could look to Egypt, you could look to various parts of Africa, you could look to South America, you could look to the United Kingdom, you could look to the Netherlands. All of the areas that I listed and more all have taken on the persona and emulated Black American culture. But the moment in time that we tell people, like, yo, we need you to, show some respect because we love and respect you, we just looking for that same thing back. Everybody want to, again, start getting disrespectful. But again, this is because Black Americans are far too respectful of other people and their cultures. That's just a simple fact, right? Now, the other thing dealing with this exact same story, the mannerisms and which it is or how it is that she is talking, right? Some people wanted to state that, yo, if you're really from New York and da da da, you'll really understand and all this other type of stuff. Like I said, I get it. I get it. I done seen white boys all the time sit up there and talk as if they are black men. And I'm not just talking about, I'm not listening like a New York, a Florida, or an LA thing. I done seen a few in Michigan, right? But the funniest thing is some of those dudes didn't even grow up around black guys. So realistically, that's a caricature. That's them trying to formulate and figure out what it is to be as and talk as and act as a black man. That's a caricature, right? Now, this girl, from what everybody else wanted to state, is that, hey, she grew up around black people and yada 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 and all this other type of stuff. This is just her. I guess. I've grown up in the hood. And I've also gone to private schools and been around white people for sometimes years and different things of that nature, and been around other cultures and lived in the suburbs as well. But at no point in time am I specifically taking on any of those things that are natural within those people. I'm not doing that. I still sound as I normally sound, which is me. I don't know what else to, to happen to tell people, directly on that. A lot of times people choose to take on certain things, right? I had somebody else list in the comment section. They were like, well, I've met a lot of African people that are here in America and they have a smooth American accent. You're right. Anybody from another country can take on a type of or a generalized or watered down version of an American accent, a stereotypical standard American accent. But that accent that they're using is going to differentiate when it comes to somebody that is from California or the different parts of California, right? It's going to differentiate from somebody who was in Texas and from the different parts of Texas. It's going to differentiate from somebody who was in the South and they're from different states and different areas in the South, in Florida, in New York, which has boroughs. Everybody in New York does not sound the same, but yet there is this type of stereotypical New Yorker type of accent that gets thrown around, right? When it deals with movies and so on and so on and so on, right? Whenever The Godfather, Casino, and all of these things came out, that was the stereotypical, New Yorker accent that everybody thought, right? Just like the same thing when it deals with Michigan. Everybody, all the black people that grow up in Detroit, they're not going to sound like everybody else that is in Michigan. Nah. Nah. And if they do, that's due to the fact that they allow that to take place. That's all I'm saying. They're allowing that to take place. But the one comment that you're able to see is from a woman, and she specifically said this, which I found kind of stupid. And I'm just going to go by the first part because that's the only part that matters. She said, straight up, I blame Black American men for this type of behavior of non Black American women. Shout out to Chris Baisley for the scripture. Uh, Straight up, I blame Black American men for this type of behavior of non Black American women because they're the only ones in the community that give other non Black women this green light to say the N word and for them to try to insult our culture by behaving awful and trying to replicate a type of characteristic of Black women. Now, the one thing that I have shown in quite a few videos that I have done is that you've had Black women who are around women or girls or whatever of different ethnicities, and they allow them to hang around them. They allow them to, take a part of the clothing culture, of the vernacular. They allow them, they show them off to their Black male friends, letting the guys out there know that, hey, this girl is cool. She's okay. She's down. She's one of us, right? They allow these women to also do their hair and their nails as well, right? So what I'm stating is I'm not going to sit up here and state that, hey, you don't have Black men out here doing this. You do have a few that do. I'm not going to sit up there and say that she is 100% incorrect on that. You do. I've showcased some videos directly on that. But you have to also admit at the exact same time that Black women allow women of other cultures, of other nations, to be in and around them, to speak around them, to act like them, to talk like them, to dress like them, to have hairstyles just like them, all of that. Because everything that she is doing, that is not something that a Black man gave to her. She is emulating, as she stated, a type of, right, Black woman, right? Mannerisms, speech, attitude, all of that, neck movement. Yeah, it might be a stereotype, but there are, again, are some truths in stereotypes, right? But for all intents and purposes, she's mimicking the things that she sees, right? Or has been around, observed, witnessed, or watched on television, right? The only way for somebody to emulate a Black woman is to be around and accepted again by black women, right? Or to also watch it. So, like, you got the reality TV shows with all of these black women acting a fool on mess, and they want to sit up there and fight, and they want to bicker and all this other type of stuff. Like I said, a lot of these women, they learn that specifically from those avenues. It's one thing to say that black men are okaying a thing, which is the usage, right, of a certain word. Fine, no problem. I can sit up there and go with that one. But we're not going to sit up here and try to make it seem like everything that she is doing is because a black man just like threw a book at her and told her to learn so that they can sit up there and date her. Please, let's not do that. Let's not be that stupid. Let's 100% not be that stupid when it comes to this topic and topics like this, right? So the other thing, going on to the next one, we are now dealing with the Ja Morant, right? So I had somebody leave a comment directly on the channel. You can clearly see that directly in front of you. And I gotta wait for this to actually disappear. Let me look on the other screen. BL basically said, wow, John Morant posted himself holding a gun on social media. The same people mad at John Morant for exercising his Second Amendment rights are the ones who would fight to the death to protect their Second Amendment rights. They are hypocrites. The gun was legal. Non-story, right? And this is what I stated from a black man's perspective, right? Growing up in Detroit, seeing a variety, seeing a lot of things, listening to music and all this other type of stuff, right? This is what I stated. This is going to be so tough to actually get through right now because I'm looking at two screens. I stated, the young black boys don't know legal from not. They see the image and the music and relate the two. It's bigger than what you're looking at it as. Again, most adults don't care about the kids, which is a fact. My point in the video was to prove that black men don't care about the young black men and their lives, right? You are messing up in life if a gang member is telling you to stay as a good guy and don't become like him. But I see people will miss that point, right? So again, in the video that I posted, I showed you Charleston White. I showed you, I can't think of, I showed you a gang member, right? And I showed you Mr. Brown, right? And all of them were, in a sense, on social media trying to not just talk to Ja Morant, but other young black men that are like Ja Morant. It was literally a gang member, hardcore. The brother's in there. He's in the streets. He's sitting up there telling him, like, yo, bro. He's like, you ain't even really like this. He's like, yo, you grew up in the suburbs and all this other type of stuff. Now you want to, sit up here and be showing off guns. You want to be throwing like hand signs and all this other type of stuff. He was like, yo, just stay as the good guy, right? You don't got no felonies. You don't got nothing on your record. Like, you ain't really about this. You ain't really in this street. It's like, just stay who you are. Be true to yourself. Don't try to emulate something that you're not, because you're not going to understand and really figure out what's going to come with it up until it comes with it. And that's what he was telling them. And he was like, yo, John, not even on some hating type stuff. We can sit up there and hang out together. We can show you exactly what it really is. Our normal day to life in comparison to yours. Like I said, you got people out here that's trying to speak some sense into this guy. He has, from what people stated, $100 to $200 million contract, and he's about to mess that up because he wants to emulate or live a certain type of lifestyle that is not indicative to how it is that he grew up. Again, Ja Morant's dad is in his life, but he's not really doing anything to curb any of these actions. Again, this young man has very great skill, great enough to where it is that they want to give him a $200 million contract. There's not a lot of black people out here that can sit up there and say, like, yeah, I got the greatest skills. I got skills enough where somebody's going to offer me some millions for my skills. That's rare, especially when it's dealing with $200 million and you're going to mess that up because you want to do this. And this is my main point again. Going back to the imagery, you have two videos of John Morant basically holding up a weapon, just flashing it. It's not like, we're not talking about him going to the gun range. We're not talking about him shooting with friends, at targets, doing target practice and stuff like that, properly using a weapon. We're not talking about none of that. We're talking about him being in a car with somebody else around his age, listening to music, flashing a gun. That's the same imagery that you see in rap music. Are we going to argue that every single gun that's in a rap video that is legal and they got their Second Amendment rights to do this? No, we're not. We're going to say that it's ignorant, it's stupid. We're going to say that it shouldn't happen because the imagery is going to go directly to the kids. Because why? The rap artists aren't sitting up here telling these kids, hey, this is the difference between being able to carry legally versus not being able to carry legally. This is what a license to carry looks like versus what it looks like not having. They're not doing that. There's no way to differentiate that. Just like when you look at both of John Morant's videos, nowhere in there are you able to differentiate if he's legally able to carry versus if he's not. I'm not trying to question or guess. And the kids are not going to do their due diligence in order to find that out. And they shouldn't have to. Because if he actually wanted to be about that life, about talking about guns, gun safety, and a license, then he would actually make videos that specifically pertain to that. If he did that, nobody would have a problem. Nobody would be talking about it, right? So then he responded later. He said, how do you go from Ja exercising his constitutional right and committing no crime to him not caring about black youth? Okay, well, the reason why I stated that is because it's about the imagery at the end of the day. If I, as a black man, decided to make a platform like World Star Hip Hop, are you going to sit up there and tell me that I care about the black youth, the imagery of black people, and everything else that surrounds about that? No, you're going to say that I only care about the money. You're only going to say that I care about the money. So again, if I'm sitting up here telling you that he and many others don't care about the black youth up out here because of the way that they put out their own image to them, then I'm stating exactly that. I'm not stepping back on that. Like I said, coming from and growing up in the black community, I done seen this too many times. I done seen young black guys on the corner congregating. And yeah, it does look bad because we automatically associate that with a certain thing, which is what? Selling drugs, which is what? Doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, which is what? They obviously don't have no jobs if they can spend 8 to 9 hours directly on a street corner every single day. Right? And that's because of the images that we have normally seen. In other communities, you don't normally happen to see that. That's not a normalcy. Right? So again, if I sit up there and tell you that adults don't care about the kids, it is exactly what it is. Give me some stats to sit up there and say otherwise. Other than that, I need you to shut up. So then it continues. That's quite a leap you made there. No one says this when white people post guns online and then a white kid decides that he wants to go to a school. No one states this when white men shouldn't post guns online because white youths look up to them. I'm trying to understand the logic, but the logic isn't there. The reason why you're not understanding the logic is because you're trying to make it seem as though where black men and white men are on the exact same playing field, and they're not. That correlation makes no sense. You're dealing white men basically co-opted, stolen, murdered for this country, and black people are just here. Right? Black people are just here. White people stole, co-opted, and murdered directly for this country. That same group of people also made the laws, rules, and the regulations as well, while black people have not. So again, we're trying to compare apples to oranges. We clearly know, and we got a multitude of historical facts and books to state how it is that black people have been treated by white America. But we don't really have books showing the other side, right? We don't have books talking about, oh yeah, A lot of these laws in the past were really hurtful towards, white people, and they really put black people above, white people, and we're all equal. And we don't. Those books don't exist. That's not a time that has happened where black people have made laws that have specifically, right, gone after white people pertaining to their skin color, pertaining to their heritage, trying to stop them from banking and all this other type of stuff. Again, I need people to stop trying to compare apples to oranges. Black men are not the same as white men. White men are not the same as black men. Those are two different groups. Two different groups. So again, this is why that you're not understanding or seeing the logic in what it is that I'm stating. Again, I'm the person that has a platform where I've advocated for kids, advocated for children, tried to give them a voice because, again, most adults don't care. His comment is yet again proving that. Because you want to sit up there and say, but oh, when white men sit up there, am I a white man? I'm not a white man. So that details with the white men in that community to deal with those situations and those problems. If you really want to sit up there and get down to it, then have a conversation with them and talk to them about it. I'm black at the end of the day. So I'm looking at my past experiences. I'm looking at what it is that the young black men and the youth in the black community are able to sit up there and see. And I'm looking at what it is that they're going to decide to side with, or what they're going to liken to when it deals with how it is that they want to emulate something, how it is that they want to be tough, how it is that they want to be hard, how it is that they want to be out here in these streets and mimic all of the stuff that's going on, not understanding the things that specifically come with it. And again, like I said before, you got a gang member in here sitting up here telling this dude, don't go out here and be flashing these signs, acting like you about that life. Don't be out here acting like you're part of that gang life, because you're not. But yet you got somebody up here that want to talk about a whole different argument. Oh, when white people do it, nobody says anything, but when black people do it, Oh, next. Black people are the only group of people that shame their own when it comes to firearms and exercising their Second Amendment right. Let me just get something straight real quick. I, on my platform, have been one of the main persons advocating for black people to get their firearms, but more specifically for black women to get their firearms. I have quite a few videos. I've also done live streams sitting up there covering black women's channels, telling black women like, yo, even if you don't want to hear me out, even if you don't like my content, at least hear me on this. This is a black woman that knows about firearms training. This is a black woman that can sit up there and teach you a variety of things and yada, yada, yada. Yo, go check her out. Go check out her content. She's knowledgeable. She's licensed, right? I do that. So to sit up here and try to state that, in a sense, me, because I'm gonna specifically pertain it to me, even though he generalized the situation, right? I have done this. So to try to like fit that whole situation directly in there, trying to make it seem like trying to scare or shame black people from doing certain things, nah, I'm about people being responsible and not being stupid. Next, we are taught to disarm ourselves while every single other group are taught the opposite. Actually, that's a full-fledged lie. What, the UK doesn't have guns, right? I think New Zealand, the people up there don't have guns. Japan, there's quite a few places around the world that are also disarmed, and they're not black. So again, when people want to make these type of arguments, when they want to say these things, I would really love it if people can use the computer, the portable computer that they have in their hand called a cell phone, and just Google something. Just Google some shit real quick. Just do that. It's not that difficult, right? No wonder we are so easily conquered. Instead of teaching our children Second Amendment rights and why we should fight for those rights, you get mad at a black celebrity for posting with his legal gun because you see it as being a bad influence to the younger generation. Let me just explain something to people real quick. Morant was not the first time that I've ever talked about this. I've talked about this in a multitude of different situations. I've talked about black American music, rap, hip hop. I've talked about those things. I've talked about the imagery that is both there, both the hood, the stereotypical hood guy, quote unquote, the Pookie and the Ray Ray, right? The drug dealer, right? And I've talked about the usage, the imagery of guns and what that is associated with, right? It's not associated with responsibility. The imagery of a gun in a rap music is the emulation and giving off the imagery of power. That's what it is, not responsibility, power. And as we all know, bullets don't come with names. Bullets will hit people indiscriminately. Somebody can go out here and fire a weapon right now at an intended target. That target can move, the wind can shift, anything can happen. And then that bullet ends up hitting somebody else. Like I said, power versus responsibility. What was the main thing that Uncle Ben sat up there and told Peter Parker? With great power comes great responsibility. But whenever you see the rap music, right? Whenever you see Ja Morant, are you seeing him state when he's holding that gun, with great power comes great responsibility? No, he's not saying that. He's listening to some rap music and he's waving it in a car. Like I said, I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding how it is that people decide that they want to try to formulate an argument to act as though they have a leg to stand on when realistically they don't. I get it. And I do not disagree with the fact that, yes, black people should, be practicing their Second Amendment, their right to carry, going out to get their license and all of these things. I have no problem with that. I have no issue with that. The problem that I do have is the lack of responsibility from people who decide that they just want to go out here and willy-nilly wave a gun in a car or out there in public. They want to sit up there and show it off in videos. Again, I sat up there and showcased the video of quote unquote a black guy who was coming out of a Foot Locker, and he had a gun. He had money on him, but he also had a gun in his waistband, sitting up there waving it at the camera. You know what happened? Somebody saw him in public, automatically called the police. Automatically called the police. Like I said before, you need to sit up there. If anybody out here is an advocate for guns, I have no problem with you. I have no problem. I have a problem with people who are irresponsible and who allow other people to be irresponsible, and how it is that they want to sit up there and carry and use a firearm in the imagery of a firearm, which is dangerous. But like I said before, a lot of people who quote unquote say that they care about the black community, they care about the youth, they really don't care because they don't want to point out these facts. They want to sit up there, oh, but when white people do it, I don't care. I don't care. Right? So then he later stated that this is why the black race will never have real power. We tear down those of us who choose to exercise the very rights white people don't want you or I to have, but enjoy themselves. How about this one? Unless you are, somebody once told me in the comment section, it might have been a few people here that might, be a part of the mods. Shout out, much love and appreciation to all of the mods that are directly here right now. But there was somebody who basically stated that everybody doesn't need to know what it is that you have. Right now, if you are the type of person that is a staunch, guns right advocate and stuff, and this is what your social media is about, fine, so be it. Right? If you're the type of black person, which I am subscribed to quite a few, who have a business where they both sell weapons that are registered, that are licensed, right? They have their ability to legally do that. And they also show people how to use it because they train people, fine, so be it. I don't have a type of problem with that. Again, my problem lies within the fact that we have black men in the black community that are not about any of this stuff. They just want to sit up there and go out there and start flashing guns because they think it's cool. Why do they think it's cool? It's not because they sat up there and learned this from their pops and their grandfather. Nah, it's not because they saw a white man do it. Nah, it's because they sat up there and saw this in a music video, and that imagery grew up with them progressively through their life. So they saw a Lil Wayne, right? Sitting up there doing it. They saw a Gucci man sitting up there doing it, right? They might have seen, I'm not sure if Young Jock did it, but again, you got Jeezy the Snowman, right? You got a variety of these rap artists that put this type of imagery directly out there. Or better yet, let me just push back just a little bit. Even if it's not the specific rap artist doing it, they got friends around them that's doing it, right? T.I., one of those people as well, right? Or better yet, if somebody remembers who Tay-K is, if you don't know who he is, you could look up a song called The Race, because that's exactly what he was doing. As he was making that video, he was literally running from the law, right? And it dealt with gun charges, right? He had a whole bunch of people in the background flashing guns with drums on them and all this other type of stuff, drinking alcohol and all this other type of stuff. So are we going to sit up there and state that, oh yeah, little Tay-K, no matter what wrong he did, he has the ability to express his Second Amendment right and to also sit up there and drink illegally? What do you think that imagery is going to sit up there and do once the young masses of black kids out here see it? Oh, I want to be like Tay-K too. I want to sit up there and smoke and drink underage as well. And I want to sit up there and hold a firearm, which I shouldn't sit up there and be in the possession of. But like I said before, people want to make these stupid arguments and they don't want to focus in on the main things that are the utmost detrimental. That is detrimental imagery. Again, responsibility versus power. A responsible person who is a gun owner is going to show you how it is that you are supposed to be responsible. They're going to lay down the law. They're going to lay down the rules. They're going to lay down the regulation. They're going to explain history. They're going to tell you how to work with the safety. They're going to tell you how to deal with gun jams. They're going to tell you how to clean the weapon. They're going to tell you how to disassemble. They're going to tell you about the history of firearms and all these other types of things. Again, nowhere in there was John Morant doing it. Nowhere in there. And again, the main reason that I talked about this was due to the fact of, regardless of how much I disagree with how it is that he is, putting out that imagery of himself on his off time or what have you, he's a black man at the end of the day. He's a role model. He has an image. He has great talent. The sky is the limit for him. Do I, as a black man, want to see him fall? Do I want to see him lose that? Do I want to see him lose his life or somebody else lose their life because they're protecting whatever falsified image he's placing out there on social media? No. I want him to survive. I want him to live. I want him to thrive. I want him to be successful. But again, obviously, when I put out these messages, when I do these videos, people don't seemingly know or understand what it is that I am stating, which is 1,000% ridiculous. And to then want to try to be argumentative in the comment section as if you got a point to stand on, when realistically you don't. You're being an enabler to bad imagery and negative behavior, which is not going to give anything positive to John Morant or the people that are within his circle at all. Like I said, it's crazy. It's 1,000% crazy. So let me go to the next one. Right? So some of y'all might have seen this image. Some of y'all might not. This was a short that I had put up where it dealt with a snippet, a point in time in America. And I was basically trying to make people understand that the moment in time that you still have these people that basically exist with the same type of mentality, it's going to spread. It's going to be forever, right? Obviously, a lot of people didn't just so happen to get that memo or get that message, right? And Melissa Brown, a Caucasian woman, came up here and decided to state this. She didn't even say anything evil, LOL. All she said is that blacks, now let me just make people understand, to anybody that is white and listening to my voice at this moment in time, context matters. But it's better off if you happen to say black people, African Americans, the black community, anything else but saying the blacks and just blacks. I'm just, you might not understand it because you're not black. Might not understand it. Might not understand it. And for anybody else who might just so happen to decide to pull up to the scene and they want to state that, oh, but I'm black and I don't see a problem in people saying blacks and all this. shut up. Shut up. Just stay in the back. Just shut up. Don't even decide to type it. Just shut up. So all she said is that blacks are more different to them than the Hispanics or Chinese, or when they're trying to get along. How is that evil? She probably just meant that they probably were mean to her when she did nothing to them. What are you even? See, this is what I'm talking about. White women, I need y'all to stop with this. Y'all talk about white America. Y'all like to talk about all the time how black people portray themselves or like to play victim. One of your own just literally did this in a video that had nothing to do with that. There was no black people within eye frame, eye shot, or anything like that. All the people there were white, but yet she's trying to paint the two in there as victims. Like, oh well, she probably meant that they weren't, nice to her, back in such a. That's crazy. You're just throwing assumptions directly out there, trying to vilify black people for clear cut no reason, just so that you can have a stance and a leg to stand on in an argument of which you have none. Right? She seems more indifferent than anything. Seems like the same today. To be honest, it does seem like blacks dislike whites, Asians, and even their own kind most of the time when most of the people in their lives haven't done anything for them. Let me just get something real straight for you. Black people, I'm just going to generalize this because it is a factual thing. Look at Africa. Look at how welcoming the African people have been to the Europeans that have colonized them. Look at how welcoming they are being to the Russians at this moment in time. Look at how welcoming they've been to the Chinese at this moment in time. Look at how welcoming they still are to the South African whites that are down there in South Africa that stole and killed for that land of which is not theirs. Now, let's look at black Americans. Let's look at how Columbus first landed here and how welcoming people were directly to him, right? Look at how they were taught to survive because they would have died otherwise. They wouldn't have been able to survive the harsh winters and learn how to grow certain things so that they could survive and thrive and be the rulers that they are today in America. No, no, no. Look at how welcoming black people are when it comes to their communities. We don't put up signs stating that we don't want you here. You're not accepted. We don't want your kind or anything like that. We don't do that. We're not holding protests or marches in our neighborhoods telling you to get out, to leave. We're not doing that. We welcome you in with open arms. And what 9 times out of 10 has happened when black people have decided to allow and welcome people in with welcome arms, we still get the police called on us. We still get harmed in a certain type of way, form, or fashion. So to try and state that one group of people are more welcoming or more loving than another is completely false. Never at a point in time in your history have you ever been oh so loving to anything on this planet. Trees have been going into extinction, different types of fruits going into extinction, if not already extinct. The same thing with a variety of different types of animals, sea life, air life, land, or better yet, different populations of people which once existed on a land, if not extinct, were pushed into extinction. So, again, historically speaking, let's not try to state that your people are the utmost welcoming and loving, and especially way more than black people, please. Never at a point in time. Never at a point in time. Because, like I said before, I'll just go back to King Leopold of Belgium. It was stated that what? He went to the Congolese people. He basically got that whole group together and he basically slew about 10 to 15 million Congolese people due to the fact of, hey, you guys aren't bringing in these rubber numbers. We got to get something going. All right, start lining up the kids, women and the children, start chopping off the hands and the feet. Better yet, just start getting rid of a lot of them. We're going to teach them a lesson, right? Again, that's European history, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, right? So then she also stated I'm waiting for this to like disappear off the screen. Um, she also stated, but everyone else is in the wrong all the time, and it's always white people's fault. Shaking my head. Everyone is just tired of the same stuff, a different day. Takes way too much energy and not worth it. See, the reason why y'all have a problem with facing a lot of this history is because it's fighting against what it is that you are naturally taught, right? Y'all were naturally taught that, hey, we are good people, we're loving people, we are the fixers, we are the masters of the universe. We have done so many advancements in both medical and technology that it just proves that we're such great people. But yet, in order to be so great, there came a cost. Even if that cost was not by your own people, it came by way of other people, right? You guys are ingenious. You guys created the nuclear bomb, right? And what was the cost of that nuclear bomb? You decided to use it on the Japanese, not once, but twice. And the Japanese, due to the fact of how great they are with their artistry, basically remade what it would have been like, right? If you were able to actually visibly see what took place to those people when that bomb dropped. And it is horrifying. When you actually look at it, like I said, the artistry, when it comes to the Japanese and them drawing and them putting out their history and stuff, it is a beautiful thing. It is a sight to see. I promise you, that will not get shown in American schools because it will sit up there and horrify a lot of kids, and not only the kids, but also some parents as well, because it's literally, when you see that video, it's a shock in an all type of event when you see it. But like I said, y'all can't deal with those details because these are not things that you were taught. You were taught that you are the heroes, the fixers. You are taught that you are the saviors, aka white Jesus. So this is why internally you have an issue with this. This is why, for whatever reason, this Karen, Melissa Brown, decides that she wants to have an attitude directly in her comment when it is that she's talking about this. Again, you don't have a stance or right to even be angry at anything. Just deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, just go the other way. And I keep telling people that when it deals with my content, if you don't like it, you can just look the other way, flip to another video. But again, some people just want to be offended. Some people just want to find a way to be offended. Some people don't want to think critically about a situation and why it is that the information is getting put out. They just want to rah, 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 right? So I stated, you know nothing of the black experience, but yet you're trying to speak on black people having issues with other black people. And then you make a claim that black people don't like anybody without any proof. Historically, the only group that don't get along / dislikes groups of people are European people. Who, that was a typo, who stole land from people of Hawaii and North America. And this is another thing that I also touched on. Again, I had to give a nice little history lesson to somebody because I've been having a lot of true Americans show up to some of the videos and they want to, run their mouth. So I had to put in some stats. I had to start especially putting in some things about Hawaii. Let me just let y'all know something real quick. The funny thing is, when it deals with how it is that Hawaii became a part of the United States, never at a point in time in my history class was I taught that the United States of America came over there and basically really stole that land. They caused a coup and they stole that land from the rightful owners. And then later on, the United States was like, you know what, we did something wrong. Uh, yeah, we did steal y'all land and stuff. We apologize. That's it. Nah, son. Nah, the damage is way too done. And what I mean by that is when you look at the population of Hawaii, it's even. What I mean by that, I mean by native Hawaiians and people who are technically not native to that land. It's almost a 50-50 split. It shouldn't even be that way. But it's that way because of the United States and what it is that they have done. Like I said, this is historical facts. You can't run from that. This is why when I like hearing Hawaiians talk about this. This is why I like hearing Native Americans talk, because there's nothing that quote unquote true Americans can basically say. They can't refute anything. You stole it, you took it, you killed people, you murdered for it. That's the truth. That's history. You gotta 1000% deal with that. That's why when it comes to history, they don't want to talk about it. That's why they don't want to delve within that. Because if kids, inquisitive as they are, if they decide that they want to sit up and ask a question about it, they're not going to be able to give you an answer. The adults in the room that are teaching the lessons, they're not going to be able to give a lesson at all. They're not going to be able to give a answer at all because there isn't one. You did it because of greed. You did it because it's in your DNA. This is who you are historically. It's been shown time and time and time and time and time again. How many countries have you invaded into? How many wars have we been in? How many wars that were supposed to be wars, but realistically weren't wars, weren't sanctioned, weren't agreed on? Like I said, how many times have we lied in order to go into war? Again, I ask anybody that's Caucasian, anybody that is white, if you want to have an issue with black people and how it is that black people are in America, fine, no problem. Let me sit up there and one up you real quick. Explain to me and show me where are the weapons of mass destruction. Oh, I'm sorry, WMDs. Because Call of Duty made a video game and they had a map called WMD. You know what WMD is? Weapons of mass destruction, or weapon of mass destruction, right? When you go and look around that map, guess what you don't see? Weapons of mass destruction. Notice how they turn that realistic thing into a truthful joke inside of a video game that was made by Caucasian people. If you don't believe and understand what I'm saying, look up Call of Duty and type in WMD. It's a map. It's a map. To also further up that point, George Bush Jr. went to a dinner in front of the White House and was laughing and joking about weapons of mass destruction, not finding them. This is the same person that sat up there and for decades, because of what it is that he started, sent all of your families, all of your kids, all of your young ones directly over there to fight for what? What did they tell you that it was? It was an invisible enemy. But yet I don't see Caucasian, I don't see Europeans getting mad about that. I don't see them really saying anything about that. But yet y'all want to continuously speak on the black community when realistically whatever involves and is dealing with the black community, it's not touching on the rest of America. It's not touching on the amount of money that is getting thrown to other countries that are not American countries. It's not touching on the fact that we have a whole bunch of people that are quote unquote coming here from other places and they are not 100% doing anything in a sense for America. It's not, in a sense beneficial, so to say, right? You got people coming directly from over in Europe and they're able to start getting monies. They're able to start getting debit cards, start getting cell phones. They're given social securities. Right now, me being black, if anything were to happen to me, I got to fight to try to sit up there and get some money. But they can just come fresh off the boat from Europe and they can automatically get housing and money and everything else. It's crazy. And then on top of that, you want to throw them directly into black neighborhoods and say that it is A-OK. But you don't want to throw them in anybody else's neighborhood. Ain't that something? So on top of the fact that we got gentrification happening in the black community, on top of the fact that we got white flight basically taking place in the black community, we also have an influx from people in Europe coming into black communities around the United States, which is further causing a displacement of black people who are naturally and have been there for the longest time possible, pushing them out. Like I said, if people don't understand how it is that America works in their plans and what it is that they've been doing, you're going to see. You're going to see. Anyways, she later stated, laughing my butt off. I've seen tons of videos from black creators that say blacks. Again, if you are white, I need you to stop saying black. Say African American. Right? Say African American. Right? People in the black community. There's a variety of things that you could sit up there and say, because the moment in time that I hear you saying blacks, I'm deeming you as a racist. There's nothing that you can sit up there and tell me. Never at a point in time do I sit up there and say the whites. I'm not sitting up there stating or saying that at all. Right? I'll say Caucasian, white community. I'll, say something different. Like I said before, y'all just like playing stupid. Right? Say blacks don't really like anyone and that they are the first to put down and criticize their own kind. Ma'am, let me just make you understand something. As a white woman, I need you. I don't care what videos that you watch of black people. That does not make you an expert or that you have expertise to even speak on this topic. I don't care if you're around black people 24/7 and they're sitting up there stating this consistently. Shut up. This don't got nothing to do with you. These are black issues, black topics. If a black person is talking about it, it's nice that you want to sit up there and listen. Fine, no problem. Pull up a chair. You can sit up there and listen. Other than that, there is no reason for you to try to bring that up in a conversation or an argument because it's not your community. It's not your people. You never lived a black experience. You've never had a black experience. Like I said, mind your business. And I've seen that in person. Again, mind your business. And yeah, I don't know black struggles. No one does, but I know the white ones where we got blamed consistently for stuff we had no part of or made out to be the bad guy or treated like we owe someone something. So like I said before, if people don't understand what I'm trying to show you, the racism that she has is leaking out slowly but surely. If you allow somebody to talk long enough, they will let you know specifically who it is that they are and what it is that they are about. That last little part told you. You're making it seem like we owe you something. America does owe. Guess what? To the when the Holocaust took place, you know what America did? They sat up there and played. They paid the Jewish community reparations. You know when the Chinese and the Japanese got held in camps? Guess what? The Chinese and the Japanese got some form of reparations. You know when the Native Americans had their land taken and they had proof that their land was taken? You know what the United States government did? They sat up there and either gave them land back or they're sharing or they have ownership of something. They did a variety of things. They did a variety of things, right? In order to say sorry, in order to apologize, right? But it's funny that when it comes time for black people to receive something, everybody's like, oh no, you're looking at handouts. Oh no, you guys just feel that everybody owes you something. You guys are lazy. You guys don't want to work for nothing. Yada, yada, yada. All this other type of stuff. But yet you're not telling that to the Jewish community. You're not telling that to the Asian community. You're not telling that to the Pacific Islander community, right? You're not telling that to any of those other communities of which reparations have been directly paid to. But when it comes to black people, everybody want to have their mouth open and they want to take and be a part of the conversation as if they actually got a leg to stand on. It makes no sense. Do you think that if the Irish and the Scottish wanted to sit up there and get reparations from America, do you think that I would be opening my mouth and sitting up there stating that, oh no, you need to work for it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps? No, I ain't gonna care. Like I said, that's y'all problem. European or European crime. That's a shame. That's a shame. But also the difference within that is that there was a such thing as in indentured servitude. So a lot of the Irish and the Scottish that came directly over, they decided to come over willingly on a boat and they decided to work for somebody's plantation or whatever it is for a certain amount of time. That's what that was. That's what that was, right? So, anyways, she also wanted to state, I know white people always have to walk on eggshells and it's messed up. The whole race thing in general is jacked now. Everyone is just trying to survive like everyone else. We all put on our pants the same way. This is when the violin should be chiming in because she's all lives matter at this point. Again, she's showing you exactly who she is. Everyone is just trying to survive like everyone else. We all put our pants on the same way. In the United States, we all have the same jobs, the same opportunities, eat the same food, drive the same cars, have the same freedoms. Realistically, that's not 1000% correct in that. Black people don't have the same freedoms because somebody actually did a video where you had a black man who was licensed to carry. He was walking down the street openly carrying, right? He had his license and everything. Police came out there and stopped them, and they completely had weapons drawn. Like the dude literally came out there, sped up behind the dude, got out the car, weapon already drawn on him. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! It was already that. They showed you a white boy. The cops came up there smooth to him. It's like, hey, we got a couple of calls. People wanted us to, check it out. He came up there and talked to him. He was like, hey, I was wondering, can you put this down? Is it loaded? They were just having like a good old conversation. So to sit up there and say that everybody's treated the same is nonsensical and is stupid. It's 1,000% stupid. Black kids are not treated the same as white kids in schools. It's not. Even when it deals with education, it is not the same. But yet, you have people out here that want to make it seem as though that is the case. This alabaster, this true American, this woman here is trying to make you think that it is the same for every single person. It is not. It is not. Right? Then she wanted to state it's rich and poor. That's the problem, not white against black like 70 years ago. So everyone needs to stop crying about crap and just live your life as happy as you can. Now, Karen, Sharon, whoever you are, the problem with what it is that you are stating is that I've pointed out a variety of times, specifically to your own kind, that it is rich versus poor, right? Because they're doing everything possible to get rid of the middle class. But the problem with that is that there was a somebody can in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. Way back during the civil rights era, somewhere during that time, there was it should have been a mayor or somebody that was a political official down south, and he basically stated that as long as you give white people a little bit of something over black people, they'll automatically think that they are better. They will allow you to basically walk up to them and go in their pockets, right? And that's been the same thing even way back in Europe. And again, you've had black people that have specifically stated these things and pointed these things out, right? Trying to quote unquote be American, trying to bring everybody together. But even when black people say it, nobody wanted to listen. People shut them down. People told them to mind their own business, yada, yada, yada. So, my main thing to a lot of people who are Caucasian, fine. You want to sit up there and say that we're all American? No problem. You want to say that this is a rich versus a poor thing, right? It deals with the economy? No problem. Now, my problem is who is the face of the problem? Who caused the economic collapse? Who caused the housing market to downturn the way that it did? Who caused the recession? Who are the overwhelming majority of faces that you see when you think about the United States government? So, like I said before, yeah, we can all be American, but the people in control are the ones who are causing all of these issues. And the people in control don't look black to me. So, again, all of these white tears that you were able to hear her basically shed through her little novel made no type of sense and went nowhere or anywhere at all. All she was clear cut doing is deflecting away from the topic of the responsibility that the ruling class in America have when it deals with the historical facts, the historical accuracy, the things that they have done that specifically pertain to black people and the black community. If it deals with vagrancy laws, if it deals with redlining, if it deals with black men overwhelmingly being locked up in jails and prisons, even though, right, black men don't make up the largest percentage of the American population. And again, I've had to list FBI stats before when it details about who is committing and doing the most crimes. And like I said, I'm not too shocked when it directly comes to that. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me just because I feel like I got to do it. I feel like I got to do it. I feel like that it just has to be done for this specific video because some people like to play and act stupid. Let me see if I can actually find it here, right? Who you might not be able to see all of it though. That's going to be the thing. It's going to be the thing that slightly sucks. But It's going to be up there. Make sure to get the main picture there. So just give me a quick few seconds. About to be up here in a flash. All right, we got that. So now let me just put up this image for guys, for everybody up here. So I just want to give people a reference point just in case some people might not understand what it is specifically that I am referring to and or talking directly about, right? Let me see if you guys can actually see that. Okay, so these are the stats, right? And this was taken directly from the FBI, right? They give you the murder rates, they give you the rates on grape, robbery, aggravated, what is it? Burglary, larceny, theft. Let me just go through the murder rate, right? So this is the main statistic that you hear a lot of people talk about. Oh, but you guys make them 13 to 14% of the population, but you do 50% of the crimes. Okay, no problem. I got you. So Caucasian, when it comes to murder, 44.7%, right? Black and African American, 52.6. Fine, no problem. I can sit up there, I can hold that, right? When it deals with a grape, Caucasians, 67.6%. Black and African American, 29.1. Robbery, Caucasian, 43.4%, right? Black and African American, 54.5%. No problem. I can sit up there and hold that, right? Aggravated assault, Caucasian, 62.8. Black and African American, 33.3. Burglary, Caucasian, 68.4. Right? Black and African American, 29.1. Larceny theft, Caucasian, 69%. Black and African American, 27.7%. Motor vehicle theft, Caucasian, 66%. Black and African American, 30.7%. Arson, Caucasian, 72%. Black and African American, 23.3%. Violent crimes, Caucasian, 59%. Black and African American, 37.5%. Property crime, Caucasian, 68.7%. Black/African American, 28.1%. Other types of assaults, right? Caucasian, 65.2%. Black and African American, 31.4%. Right? Forgery and counterfeiting, right? Caucasian, 65.5%. Black/African American, 31.9%. Now, technically, I could actually keep going directly with this because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And again, you've heard a lot of people sit up there and talk about these stats. Oh, but black people, the murder rate, you guys do all of this murder when it deals with all of this stuff. You guys do all of it, right? That's what people want to sit up there and state, but they don't give you all of the stats. They don't give you these overwhelming, daunting numbers, right? When it deals with this comparison. Matter of fact, let's continue. Fraud, Caucasian, 67%. Black, 30.5%. Embezzlement, Caucasian, which we already know, 61.4%. Black African American, 35.5%. Stolen property, buying, receiving, possession, Caucasian, 64.2%. Black African American, 33.4%. Vandalism, Caucasian, 68.4%. Black/African American, 28.1%. Weapon, carrying, possessing, and etc. Caucasian, 55.9%. Black/African American, 41.8%. Prostitution and commercialized vices, Caucasian, 55.5%. Black/African American, 37.9%. Sexual offenses, Caucasian, 71.6%. Black and African American, 24.7%. Drug abuse violations, Caucasian, 71.6%. Black and African American, 26.7%. Gambling, 45%. Black and African American, 48%. No problem. I can sit up there and hold that. That's cool, right? Offenses against the family and children. Let me repeat this one more time for a lot of those people because I've seen y'all come underneath my comment section when I talk about these videos. This is the stat of who does this the most. So shut up. Offenses against family and children, Caucasian, 67.1%. Black and African American, 29.1%. Driving under the influence, I already know who this is because I've seen it. Caucasian, 82.2%. Shout out to Greenwich, Connecticut. Black and African American, 13.6%. Liquor laws, I already know who this is. Caucasian, 79.2%. Black/African American, 14.5%. Right? So we just want to continue on, right? Drunkenness, Caucasian, 67.5%. Black slash African American 14.7. Disorderly conduct. Who would have thought? Caucasian 63.3%. Black slash African American 32.2. Vagrancy. Look at that. Vagrancy? That's crazy. I thought they all have homes. Caucasian 66%. Black slash African American 30.7. All other offenses. Caucasian 69.2%. Black slash African American 27.4%. Suspicion. Caucasian 35%. Black African American 30.7. Curfew and loitering law violations. Caucasian 56.3%, and Black and African American 40.7%. So the overwhelming majority of these stats are dealing with Caucasians. You guys are in the lead. You guys are 1,000% in the lead. Nobody's going to be able to tell me different, because if you're saying that I'm lying, then that clearly means that the FBI is lying. And if the FBI is lying, then you would have to tell me, what benefit does the FBI have in order to put out some positive statistics about black people. So, in the words of the one brother from the Cavaliers, I thought we was up. So to all of those Caucasians and to all of those other people that got problems with black people, I thought black people was up. Cause that ain't it. These ain't the numbers that y'all was looking for. So like I said, this is why I love it so much. Putting out all of the numbers, all of the information that people can actually see. And if people want to research and look it up themselves, they can easily sit up there and go to Google, and they can sit up there and do it. They can sit up there and do it. Like I said, we got a few L's directly up there, no problem. Like I said, I have no problem with that. When it comes directly to the gambling, I've seen it before. I've seen some brothers throw dice. I get it. Somebody, you got to get it how you get it. Somebody trying to get some money out here by playing some games. No problem. I get it. Right. When it deals with murder, like I said, just got to sit up there and hold that. There's a variety of reasons why that is taking place. And again, it's something that is taking place. I'm not running away from that at all. When it comes to robbery, again, that is something in the black community that just so happens to take place. Again, I'm not running from that at all. I'm not. Nor am I going to sit up there and say that it just does not happen, because clearly it does. But how people try to make it seem like black people are the criminals throughout the United States of America, when the founders of the United States of America are criminals, and it clearly shows in the stats by the lineage through their children. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I would really think that black people would just be all over the boards. I would really think that it would be the black community that would be taking over, 99.9% of the numbers directly up here. But clear cut, that is just not the case. Not the case. And it's like I said, it's funny how, nobody really wants to, talk about that. You know, just saying. Just saying. Like I said, I just want to, bring up the information because I felt that, people should have the information. And due to the fact that I had a Karen that wanted to be specifically directly underneath my comment section, and she wanted to throw like a clear cut attitude, and she wanted to try to play victim. She wanted to try to throw out some white tears and all this other type of stuff. You got to put people directly in their place at the end of the day. Right. So the next one that we're going to be talking about here is the New Americans. Right. Let me just play that little beautiful gift that I made there. Right. It was actually pretty short. It was supposed to be longer than that. That was a fail on my part. But anyways, so the reason why um I want to showcase this, right, is dealing with the fact of the influx of individuals who are coming directly into the United States. Again, much love and appreciation and shout out to all of the many people who have been coming through to the channel, subscribing, and different things of that nature. Um, and it has to do with how it is that it impacts the black community, and not just now, but also how it has impacted us uh historically, right? Because a lot of people always want to state that, oh, but what proof do you have, like what is this and all this other type of stuff, right? So I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to move this directly, let me see, I gotta move this over actually, because I want to make sure that it should hopefully play. Matter of fact, I'm going to play the video. Just let me know in the comment section if you can clear cut hear the video that is being played, right? Let me see. It should be, make sure the sound is on that one. Okay. Let me just put that screen directly up there, right? Oh, where we go.
So when you did go downtown, there was black and white people intermingling. Were the Mexican Americans segregated to where the white people were, or the black people?
To where the white people were.
So you would drink and go through the doors that the white people went through, and
Yeah.
water fountains, and
Yeah.
So again, let me know if y'all were able to hear that clip. If not, I'm just going to reiterate real quick what he stated. Right, that was a Mexican American, and he was stating that during the segregation era, during that timeline, right, they were not with black people. They were with the Caucasians. They were on the side with them on the buses. They were sitting with them on the buses. They were drinking from the water fountains. They were going to the restaurants. They were doing all of it. The same things that white people were able to do, they were able to do it as well. Right? No matter how dark they were able to do the same things that Caucasians were able to do. Right? So let me go to the next one real quick here.
Jesus, what does civil rights mean to you? So given the work that you've done on the marker, the fact that you're part of La Típica, and all the things that you've been a part of, what does civil rights mean to you?
To be honest with you, when all the civil rights movement came in with Lyndon Johnson and such, I considered it more as being a benefit to the blacks than to us, because we were already accepted.
Right? So just in case you weren't hearing what was asked, a young woman there, interviewer, asked her, what does civil rights mean to you? She's asking her because she is Mexican. You can't tell, right, because of how passing she is, but she was specifically asking her that question. And she basically stated that it didn't really mean anything to her because it was for black people. It had nothing to do with them. Again, right? So, like I said before, I need people to understand a lot of the things that are transpiring, that are happening at this moment in time, right? Need people to sit up there and understand. Let me see. Need people to 100% understand. There was another clip. Let me see if I can actually get it real quick. Hold on, I gotta. Is that the window? Yeah. All right, so let me just do that real quick. Just trying to go back real quick. I gotta find the clip. Okay, I think I do. I got that one. Yeah. I put those other ones up there too. Let me just put those up there. Cause let me just, cause like I said, I feel like I gotta sit up there and give people a little bit of history so that they can understand, specifically what is transpiring, what is going on, right? All right, so let me put that back up. Let me close that part. Go back to close that one. Go back to the window. Right, so now we're gonna go to, let me just make sure everything is still running. Okay, everything is still good. All right, so let me go over to the next part, which is this one here. Let me make sure this is up.
I think many Mexican Americans were afraid. What would happen if we weren't considered white? How do we know we're not going to be forced or pushed to identify with the Black race at a time when Black people are fundamentally denied so many basic rights?
Right? So then let's go to the next one.
So there's an element of racism and there's an element of fear of Jim Crow segregation.
Right? So then underneath those, the videos that I showed y'all, these are people that were a part of making sure that people who are, Mexican, Latin, and so on, that they are deemed as and seen as white. One of them stated, quote, I know Negroes aren't getting their full share of democracy, but frankly, I'm prejudiced against Negroes, and I do not believe that they are entitled to everything that we get. Right? Underneath the other video, another one said, quote, Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white. Right? Let's go to the next one.
There's also the element of racism, of the belief among some Mexican Americans that Blackness is inferior.
Right? So then to also go with that, let's see what one of their own stated, right? She said that there was a fear amongst their own that Blackness was deemed and seen as inferior, right? So underneath that, you had another person, another part of the coalition. He stated, let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him, right? So then we'll go. I forgot what was this. This was another clip. Y'all might happen to.
Priority.
Yeah, wait your
over
turn,
equality.
wait your turn to those young raza or raza who want to believe that. You better turn your TV, brother. You better turn your radio
So what do you
back.
think about these Black Lives Matter that they want to be paid for being what is it, slaves and all that?
Reparations.
Yeah, there
Are
it
you
is.
talking about? Well, I heard they passed in North Carolina.
Yes.
But it was
What?
it was a small little town in North
Uh-huh.
Carolina that passed reparations for whoever's over there. I'm sure they'll try to do something out here in California. I think they already actually got a little board going that they're going to start looking into it. So
Yeah, and that's when we, the raza,
Need to
step
in.
up, protest, and I'm talking major, and turn around and tell them, no, nobody getting reparations until the Native Americans and the Mexicans get ours first.
listen, brother,
We've been going through this crap a lot longer, so I don't want to
yeah.
hear it.
it-
Because it's not fair, dog. How are
No.
you going to give a bunch of money to a specific group, dog? This is the
Mhm.
United States, a melting pot. How are you going to give it to a specific group?
because right now they've got the white people with so much guilt.
Yeah,
It was
well,
your,
well,
it was your
Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
And
Right? So you heard that, right? It's all going down the same line, right? And note that the same people that you hear talking, you never at one point in time actually heard them before Black people started mentioning reparations. You never heard them talking about reparations. That was never their focal point. Because why? Let's go back to some of to the one main comment that was directly back there, right? It said Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and therefore are white. So why would they need or want reparations if you've already been receiving the exact same treatment that white people normally get in the United States of America? It doesn't make any sense. It actually seems to me as if you're double dipping. It actually seems to me as if now you're trying to play the victim. Because you weren't a victim in the beginning, because when Black people were segregated and had to do with a whole bunch of things during segregation, y'all ain't had to deal with that. Right? We clear cut heard that from the two elders who are from that community. Like I said, and I respect them for their honesty and the history that they have and how it is that they're, telling that truth directly out there to let people know, like, yo, everything that you think it is ain't really what it is. Right? So then let's go back to the comments that were directly below, right? And yet again, these were from the four people that you see directly above. This was the coalition that made sure that anybody who was Latin, Mexican, whatever, will be deemed and seen as white. They made sure that there would be honorary whites. They made sure that they will be seen and classified as that. They said, let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and therefore are white. I have other quotes too, but these are the main ones that I have at this moment in time that I can just hurry up and get to and push to you guys at this moment in time. But like I said, the reason why all of this is a problem, the reason why this is a thing that I'm bringing directly up to you guys, it has to do with something that I had just recently came across and read myself. Right, the chapter is called New Americans. Right, it said by counting. Well, I'm going to start from the beginning. Right. They said a long ago historian of other revolutions once suggested that the intensity of the revolution could be calculated objectively, dispassionately. How? By counting the number of people who fled it. In Cuba, shout out to the new subscriber. In Cuba, a lot of people left. The first year, more than 25,000 did. I'm probably going to have to oh man, I'm probably gonna have to mute that one. Let me see. Give me let me see. That's the health bar. That's the super. That's the views. That's the super chat donation. YouTube notifications. Health. All right. So what I will do. Dang. All right. Anyway, I'm just gonna let it rock. I'm gonna let it rock. Right. So he said more than 25,000 people fled from Cuba. Did. Another 60,000 did the second. By the late 1960s, 1,500 Cubans were arriving in the United States every week. And by late 1961, with the embassy in Havana already closed, an outstanding 1,200 people per working day were applying to the United States Immigration and Naturalization Service for entry. Between the start of the Cuban Revolution in January of 1959 and the missile crisis of October of 1962, nearly 250,000 people left. Other waves followed, some of them even more concentrated. Numbers in the end give credence to the impression, quote, the Cuban Revolution was nothing if not intense, right? So that's what they were basically stating there. And again, is going to go to a further point that is going to show you how a lot of these things are impacting the Black community, right? Not everyone welcomed Cubans to Miami, Anglo-Miamians, right? So then they later on stated after that. Matter of fact, I'll just read that full part. Anglo-Miamians wrote letters to editors, complaining about their new neighbors. Apartment buildings began posting signs that read, no children, no pets, no Cubans. Merchants complained that Cubans only wanted to do business with other Cubans. Quote, it's unbelievable how the Cubans could push out the Americans so quickly, remarked one. That phenom was not limited to business. The garment sector labor force went from 94% to just 18% of non-Hispanic whites in less than 10 years. The difference due almost entirely to newly arrived Cubans, right? And we're just talking about Florida at this moment in time. Perhaps no one, now pay attention, perhaps no one felt as pushed out by Cuban arrivals as Black Miamians. Little Havana sat across the Miami River from Overtown, the city's historic Black neighborhood since the 1890s. Miami belonged to the Jim Crow South, and as African Americans watched Cubans bring themselves there, they noted all kinds of contradictions. At the time and place in which racial segregation was rampant, they observed how almost all Cubans, often no matter, pay attention, often no matter their skin color, became white. Sometimes It happened at the very moment of arrival. When they registered at the refugee center downtown, people received hotel vouchers if they needed them. Almost all but the very darkest refugees received vouchers for white hotels. Miami beaches were just as segregated. Some were restricted to whites, others to blacks, but Cubans, many used either or beach. And this was reported by Look magazine in April of 1959. Cuban children, almost no matter their complexion, were allowed to go to white public schools, which were, right, invariably better resources than their black counterparts. In 1961, a local black minister speculated that African Americans in Miami could solve the problem of school segregation simply by teaching their children to speak only Spanish. Such observations aside, black leaders consistently emphasized that their problem was not with the new arrivals themselves, but with the preferential treatment given to them by the government. As the head of Miami urban leader insisted, we're not angry at the Cubans, but at the system that will do more for outsiders than for its own citizens. So, again, that was something that was taking place and that was happening in Florida, right? And this is something that is taking place and happening across the United States of America, where the main people that are going to be affected dramatically are Black Americans. When it comes to jobs, when it comes to schools, when it comes to businesses, when it comes to all of that, those are the people that are overwhelmingly going to end up being affected the most. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, let me see if the audio is back on. Okay, there we go. All right. So again, the main reason why I'm reading all of this is due to the fact of showing how this inevitably will end up affecting and impacting Black people negatively. Now, you already heard with the Anglo, the true Americans basically stated they were like, "Yo, it's unfair that the Cubans are here. They only want to sit up there and they want to work and they want to just specifically buy for themselves, right?" So, what do you think that that would mean for Black people? What do you think that that would mean for Black restaurants, Black businesses, right? What do you think that that would mean for Black communities, right? It would start to cause a bit of a issue, right? Later on, they stated accordingly, the Immigration and Naturalization Service gave Cubans temporary legal status. Then, near the end of his term, Eisenhower gave Cubans, I'm sorry, Eisenhower established the Cuban Refugee Emergency Center to coordinate relief to Cuban arrivals. The program, renamed and expanded by Kennedy, gave Cubans access to all kinds of resources. Let me just repeat that whole thing again. Accordingly, the Immigration and Naturalization Service gave Cubans temporary legal status. Then, near the end of his term, Eisenhower established the Cuban Refugee Emergency Center to coordinate relief to Cuban arrivals. The program, renamed and expanded by Kennedy, JFK, gave Cubans access to all kinds of resources: work permits, job training, English classes, small loans, subsidies, child care, housing assistance, and job referrals. Let me repeat that one more time for the people in the back that might not understand what it is that I'm stating. And again, this is American history, right? They were able to get access to resources, work permits, job training, English classes, small loans, subsidies, childcare, housing assistance, and job referrals. Access to those benefits allowed Cubans to work for lower wages than others, sometimes for as little as half the wage garnered by their black counterparts. One report estimates that between 1959 and 1962, 12,000 African Americans lost jobs to Cubans. Sometimes it was the United States government itself that gave the Cubans employment. In the early 1960s, the CIA had 12,000 Cubans on its payroll, making it one of the largest employers in the state of Florida. In fact, the CIA's largest station in the world, outside of the headquarters in Langley, Virginia, was located in Miami. The agency also controlled more than 50 front businesses, a large number of them in Little Havana. These were CIA owned, Cuban exile run travel agencies, gun shops, real estate offices, and the like. Such ventures helped exile hone their entrepreneurial skills and boosted them economically, though they did nothing to topple Castro. It was assistance from the United States government, not only cultural capital or up by those bootstraps determinations, that made the early exiles golden. So, again, the United States government, regardless of whatever it is that anybody else wants to sit up there and state, right? Let me go back to Karen's comment, right? So going back to this comment that this woman had stated earlier that I went over, right? She said that uh, the whole race thing in general is BS now. Everyone is just trying to survive like everyone else. We all put our pants on the same way. In the United States, we all have the same jobs, same opportunities, eat the same food, drink the same, uh, drive the same cars, have the same freedoms, right? But I'm clearly reading to you American history, something that took place in Florida, and yet again, something that is happening again. The reason why it's able to happen again, because people don't learn or don't know about the past. This is what happens. When you don't know about the past, you are failed to repeat it. This is clear cut what is happening to the black community. So, regardless of whatever it is that white woman wanted to sit up there and try to tell you and try to use white tears to try to explain away, to try to deflect away. No, everybody does not and has never had the exact same opportunities. Clear cut, black people were not getting the exact same opportunities as Cubans that were just coming over. I just read to you how the United States government was sitting up there fronting money directly to them. How it is that Cubans were able to get access to resources such as work permits, job training, English classes, small loans, subsidized childcare, housing assistance, and job referrals. Ain't that amazing? They just automatically showing up, and the United States government is just throwing money and housing directly at them. But yet black people during that time had to sit up there and fight tooth and nail for every single thing that they had. And even when they fought for it, it still got taken. But yet you got people like this that want to sit up there and tell you that everybody is equal. But historically, factually speaking, it is not. This is why I sit up there and tell a lot of people, wow, we're just getting hit with a lot of what's the names today. This is why I sit up there and tell y'all, if they want to sit up there and hide information from you, the best place to put it is directly in the book, because they expect you not to sit up there and read it and not to sit up there and look for that information, right? So let me just go right back to those quotes, right? So another thing that was stated is that the freedom flights, as they were called in the United States, began on December 1st of 1965. 2 flights a day made a quick trip from beach resorts in Varadero, Monserrate, was a Matanza to Miami. So excuse me, I'm not a Spanish native, so I might have said that incorrectly. To Miami. Every day, Cuban radio in Miami broadcast the names of arrivals. By 1973, 3,048 flights had brought almost 300,000 Cubans to the United States. For decades, it remained the largest wave of Cuban migration to the United States. So again, the United States government was just flying them back and forth. They were bringing them directly here. They were allowing these things to sit up there and take place, and they were enabling, right? Remember how a lot of people had to sit up there and state that, everybody, you black people, you guys aren't owed anything. Everybody had to get their stuff by their bootstraps, and you have a lot of people who are like immigrants from like far back in the 60s. They were like, my family, they had to work for it. They worked as this and that and the third, and they saved up money and opened up their own shop. They weren't looking for handouts. What you don't understand and don't know is that the government was helping them out. There was a lot of things there that enabled them to do the things that they were able to do. Because like I said before, if you go to a whole other country and you want to sit up there and open up a business, that country is not automatically going to sit up there and support you. That's just not how it specifically works. Now, when it deals and comes to America, yeah, that's how they work, because they're going to put somebody else over another group, more specifically black people. But remember, everybody says that we're all equal, we're all American, we all have the same options, the all same opportunities. But historically, they're telling you the government, the CIA, and many others helped Cuban Americans here, right? They also stated the United States government, meanwhile, continued to confer favors on Cubans leaving Cuba. In 1966, it adjusted their migration status so that they could apply for legal residency after just 2 years. Thus, were Cubans fast-tracked to citizenship and voting rights at a time when the struggle of African Americans for the same rights had only just resulted in 1965 Voting Rights Act. Though, let me see, I lost my step. Though the Cuban Adjustment Act passed in 1966, its provisions applied to all Cubans who had arrived in the United States after January 1st of 1959, and it would be applied indefinitely going forward. Later amendments further exempted Cubans from having to show that they had jobs or family waiting in the United States, or that they would not become public charges. The government also reduced by half the amount of time Cubans had to wait to apply for residency to a year and a day. No other immigrants from Latin America. Wow, people really subscribing today. Much love, respect, and appreciation to anybody and everybody that is subscribing at this moment in time. Where did I go? No other immigrants from Latin America had these advantages conferred on them on arrival. Right? So again, you have people that were coming from clear-cut another area, and they were getting fast-tracked to becoming citizens, having the exact same rights as white Americans. But what did black people have to do? Oh, that's right. Black people had to fight. They had to march. They had to protest. They had to boycott in order for people to realize that black people are actually human beings. In order for people to realize that black people are actually American too, right? But yet, again, people are, oh, black people just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Black people need to do this. Black people need to do that. But yet, your group, meaning white America, y'all were the same ones that enabled a whole nother group that had no lineage here to become Americans in a short time, to gain residency, in a short time, to get jobs, in a short time, to have businesses, in a short time. You enabled them to do pretty much everything that they wanted to do, also including vote, which black people, yet again, had to fight for. So let's continue on, right? Got to flip through some pages real quick. So the next one. Sometimes people went to the police and pretended. Now this is dealing with this is dealing with a whole different thing. So it's going to throw you off just a little bit. I'm going to have to, let me try if I can read this a little bit ahead. Um, okay, okay. I read, let me see, Social Misfits. Okay, there we go, right there. So just pay attention. It might be a little bit confusing, but there's a point to it. So another one, they said, living in Miami years later, a former police officer remembered how people showed up to a station asking for permission to leave. Few had proof of anything, so he just let the bad ones leave. Years later, more familiar with such concepts as implicit bias, he was evasive on how exactly he made those decisions. Sometimes people went to the police station and pretended to be gay, which also served as a reason for the granting of an exit visa. In fact, many Cuban gays left during the boat lift. Among them, the renowned Cuban writer Ronaldo Arenas. At the Ronaldo Arenas, at the police station, an officer asked if he was homosexual. When he answered in the affirmative, he was asked to elaborate. Was he, quote, active or passive? Having heard the response active could be grounds for denial. He answered passive. The officer also made him walk in front of them. Quote, I passed the test, he recalled. He left abroad and San Lazaro on May 4th, 10 years later, dying of AIDS in New York after, he ended up taking his life. So even during that time, Cubans had a lot of rights. Cubans were pretty much able to do anything. And what did they specifically tell you? If somebody was locked up, they were Cuban and they were locked up and they were stated to be homosexual, they were released, right? That's what the police officer basically stated are the bad ones, right? So that's all you had to do. If you could play that part, if you can talk, if you could act, they were releasing you as soon as you got captured because they wasn't trying to sit up there and deal with it, right? And that's where the bias attitude and whatnot came in, right? So you're seeing a lot of things basically take place when it deals with Cubans, right? And you're seeing how people are getting a free ride and how it is that they are enabled to do any and everything that they want to do, while other groups of people, Black Americans, have to basically fight, strive, and struggle for the things that they sit up there and get, right? So this is why you always happen to hear Black people having problems and issues with what it is that is taking place, right? Next, however small those numbers, observers were correct that the Mariel exodus was unlike the earlier waves of migration from revolutionary Cuba. This wave of refugees was neither overwhelmingly white nor mostly upper or middle class, as the first wave had been. It was not overwhelmingly white, female, and aged, as the Freedom Flight wave was. The new Cuban exodus was poorer than any that had come before. It was also blacker, between 15 and 40% Afro Cuban, compared to just 3% among Cubans who had arrived between 1959 and 1973. One former resident of Little Havana later recalled one way in which the Mariel exodus recalibrated his sense of self and place. Quote, we had invented a Cuba in which everyone was white. When the Merolitos, or it might be somebody else that speaks Spanish in the conversation can correct me on the pronunciation of that. Um, when the Merolitos came, we were forcibly reminded that Cuba is not a white island, but largely a black one. The new arrivals were simply put a cross section of Cuban society, right? So next, we're going to go to a small little part here dealing with the white hooded group here. And they stated that outside of Eglin Air Force Base on the Florida Panhandle, the white hooded establishment staged a protest and hired a plane to circle the base flying their banner. As the base quickly reached maximum capacity, even residents not associated with the hooded organization protested against the presence of Cubans in the area. Frustrated by delays in processing and the curfews imposed on them, Cuban detainees staged a hunger strike, jumped the fence, and threw bricks and stones. Right? It's crazy. It's crazy how that was happening, right? These are the same people who were allowed to come over here. They had three different, flights, plane trip, boat ride, other, exodus to basically leave their land and come here. And if I go back correctly, because I want to re-go back over that information, they were allowed to have a lot of freebies, right? As some people would like to sit up there and state, handouts, right? So they were able to get their businesses started. The CIA was also in directly on it, right? They were able to hone their entrepreneurial skills, boost their economy, uplift their people. They were given work permits, job training, English classes, small loans, subsidy for childcare, housing assistance, and job referrals, right? This is what Cubans were given during that time. And they were given so much during that time that you had black people in the community were sitting up there stating that we should just teach our kids on how to speak Spanish and nothing but that, so that we can start to get the exact same thing, so that we can fast track what it is that we need to sit up there and get. That's how bad it was. When you got black people during that time saying that, yo, we need to start switching languages. That's how bad it was, right? And again, they were getting so many things, but yet you have people up here consistently stating that everybody pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Everybody worked for every single thing that they have. Nobody had to get handouts or anything like that. They all just worked for it. And clear cut, I'm reading to you that that was not the case. That was not the case at all, right? Let's go to the next one. Reminiscent among African Americans in Miami, present since the early 1960s, escalated too. When on May 17th, an all-white jury in Tampa acquitted four Dade County police officers in the fatal incident of Arthur McDuffie, an unarmed 30-year-old black insurance agent. Residents of Overtown and Liberty City, the city's historic black neighborhoods, rose up in repudiance of the verdict. The unrest lasted for 4 days and left 18 deceased or fatally injured. At the time, the incident was also seen as an expression of African American frustration and discontent over the favorable treatment preferred to Cubans and never them. So this is clear cut what it is at this moment in time. You were able to hear historically how it is that people from a whole nother land were able to come over to the United States. They were able to get flights directly over here. They were given subsidies, pretty much all the same rights that white people have during that time. That's what was given to Cubans. They also had laws passed, lickety split, clockwork, no problem, no issue. And these were the same ones who also had issues with black Americans, with people who were already there, right? And in one instance, they stated that the black town or city that is there, if I can go back correctly, I think they said that that was established. What was that? Back in like the was that the 1600s? Let me go back there. Let me just make sure. It was established for quite some time. Let me just go back here and look. I wish I would have actually marked this in blue so that I can easily see what was going on at this moment in time. Let me just sit up here and see. Where did it go? Where did it go? I live in Miami. I'm a little bit mad I can't sit up there and find it now. But yeah, but anyways, the black residents who established that area been there for the longest time possible, and they were not getting the same types of treatment. Now remember, you had the white Cubans that were there, and they they Jedi mind tricked themselves into automatically thinking that, hey, Cuba is, just a white area. There is nothing dark about Cuba. But then when they started having an influx of the black Cubans coming in, then it dawned on them, it was like, yo, it was like we just, tricked ourselves the whole time. But again, it doesn't matter because the main thing that I've showed y'all in the video is the main thing that is stated, right? Let's go back up. Once again, they stated what? Let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to Caucasian race and are therefore white, right? Other person basically stated, I know Negroes aren't getting their full share of democracy, but frankly, I'm prejudiced against Negroes, and I do not believe that they are entitled to everything that we get. So again, you got people directly out here that are telling you exactly what it is. So hopefully black people actually wake up. Black people will actually see specifically what is taking place. And it wasn't too long ago that when I've done live streams before, I have specifically stated to black people like, yo, you need to start teaching your kids Spanish. You need to start, teaching your kids, having them take, classes in Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and different things of that nature. I've stated that before. I've stated some other languages too, because the way that the country is moving, the way that the world is moving, certain languages are going to be more dominant than others. And it would behoove the black community. Like I said, I can't speak for everybody else because I ain't for everybody else. I'm for the black community. Again, it would behoove black people to start putting their kids on this wave so that they're not left behind, because people of my generation, they're going to get left behind. That just is, exactly what it is. Right? But even though that may be the case, you can still sit up there and give your kids something that you never had. You can give your kids the ability to sit up there and have a type of education, have a type of opportunities, and so on and so on and so on. Like I said, in order for them to quote unquote be competitive, they have to be able to compete. Right? The main thing that people always sit up there and state is what black people are, athletic. Black people are this, black people are that, which black people are. Right? There's just something that is just there that enables, black people to, be just that. And what do other people have to do? Other people, in order to compete, they either have to start working out, they have to start bettering themselves, they have to start training, or some people cheat by way of taking steroids. Right? Those are the ways that people decide that they're going to compete in order to make it to a certain level. Right? So then when it comes down to the effect of black kids, what now has to happen? Black kids need to sit up there and have the same opportunity to be able to compete. So if our generation is like, it's technically it's an L, fine. That doesn't mean that the kids growing up right now, that don't mean that they need to sit up there and take that exact same L. Like I said, black people, for the parents out there, it would behoove you to put your kids in a lot of these courses. It don't matter if you got to get them Babel, if you got to get them the Rosetta Stone, if you got to put them in high school, elementary, whatever it is, make sure they learn these languages so that they can be bilingual, so that they can be competitive in this world market. If not, it's going to be just a generational L, which is stupid. It makes no sense for everybody to take an L. Especially if you can help it. It makes no sense. So like I said before, historically, like again, I read directly from y'all, read directly from a book. It gave history. It has more stuff directly in there, but those are the main parts that I wanted to highlight and specifically state directly to Black people, to letting them know what it is that they are up against. This is something that has been happening. This is something that has been taking place. So if you ever at a point in time have anybody that want to roll up and sit up there and state that, oh, nobody has had it easy, everybody pulls up by their bootstraps and everybody works for everything, handouts and all of that, nah, like I said, those are people who lack the knowledge when it comes to history, when it comes to the specific things that the United States government has done. As I gave an example of, the United States government and the CIA both backed Cubans coming fresh off the boat, coming fresh off the plane to the United States of America, giving them a fast track to citizenship, to house ownership, to getting monies. Doesn't matter if it's for housing. It doesn't matter if it's for a hotel voucher. It doesn't matter if it's for a business. Doesn't matter if it's for child care. They were fast tracked. They didn't have to work. They didn't have to struggle. They didn't have to try to strive. They didn't have to try to protest. They didn't have to do any of the things that Black Americans historically have had to do and have had to face in this United States. So again, if we ever happen to have a conversation, let me go back to that, right? Once we talk about reparations, everybody start talking. So the moment in time that we start talking about reparations, people need to start reminding everybody of the groups of people in the United States that have received reparations before Black Americans. Cubans, in a sense, got a form of reparations. They got a form of handouts by way of the government. They didn't even ask for it, but the government did it. But it's a problem when Black people want to sit up there and ask for something. It's a problem when Black people sit up there and ask for a little bit of help, while we sit up there and look at everybody else receiving something that they didn't have to sit up there and work and struggle for and watch their people die for. That's crazy. That's 1,000% crazy. Like I said, I need people to start educating themselves on a lot of stuff. That's all I'm saying. If I can sit up there and spend money, the little bit that I got to sit up there and get some books to be a little bit more educated on topics, every other Black adult out here can do the exact same thing. It makes no sense. There is no excuse. Even if you don't want to do that, you can jump on your phone right now, go to Amazon, and you can sit up there and get a Kindle version of a book for like $12.95. Or sometimes you might be able to catch deals. It makes no sense for people to be ignorant of quote unquote American history when it is that people want to interject or talk about certain things that they really lack the knowledge base on. And 9 times out of 10 is white people doing it. And that's just a fact. And then everybody else want to sit up there and follow behind white people and act like they telling the truth when realistically they not. The real truth is in books. Because the main thing that they'll do, they'll give you a little bit of something. They'll give you a granular little grain of truth. And then everything else is lies, deflection, deceit, and everything else. But the real type of truth that you need to see and understand is directly in books. And those books are all over Amazon. They got documentaries. But like I said before, Black people don't want to take out the time to learn any of this information. But we want to sit up there and argue, and we want to sit up there and magically agree with somebody who don't even look like us. And yet those same people don't even have your best interest at heart. Again, you heard the guy directly in the video stating that, yo, it's messed up that, you know, they sit up here talking about. Matter of fact, let me play that clip again.
Priority.
Yeah,
over equality.
Wait your turn. And to those young Raza or Raza who want to believe that, you better turn your TV, brother. You better turn your radio back.
So I think about these Black Lives Matter that they want to be paid for being slaves and all
reparations.
That. Yeah, there.
Are you talking about well, I heard they passed in North Carolina.
Yes.
But it was a small little town in North Carolina that passed reparations for whoever's over there. I'm sure they'll try to do something out here in California. I think they already actually got a little board going that they're going to start looking into it. So
yeah, and that's when we, the Raza, need to step up protest, and I'm talking major, and turn around and tell them, no, nobody getting reparations until the Native Americans and the Mexicans get ours first. We've been going through this crap a lot longer, so I don't want to hear it. Because it's not fair, dog. How are you going to give a bunch of money to a specific group, dog? This is the United States, a melting pot. How are you going to give it to a specific group?
Because right now they've got the white people with so much guilt. It was your parents.
Yeah.
So you were able to hear it, right? Again, much love and appreciation. Shout out to any and everybody that is here directly at this moment in time. I think I heard some notifications go off. Shout out to Officer Haku, aka Brandon versus the World, and shout out to Tom Slick for the donations to the channel. Tippy said, Seji, so basically you're saying this generation, as in you and everyone in chat, lost. There's no hope. What's the point of fighting and competing when other races are easily placed at the top? The main thing that I'm stating, like I said, I got to the point where it's like I'm going to state things as harsh as possible because I don't care anymore. Because you can talk about things as sweet as possible, as nice as possible. You can come as gentle as possible, and guess what? Black people, don't want to listen. So you got to sit up there and put it to the dire area that it basically is at. That's basically what it is. This is a dire situation, and as a nation dealing with Black people, we are failing. I don't care if you're an individual and you're doing this and that and the third, and you got a business and yada, yada, yada. Stay your individual ass directly to the side. I ain't talking about you. Stay your individual ass to the side. Stay an individual. Don't try to act as though you are a part of the collective. Like I said, you're either Clark Kent or you're Superman. We're not doing this both. So when I sit up there and state that it is an L when it comes to my generation, I am being 1,000% truthful. Because let's be real, Tippy, how many of us right now of this generation, how many of us are going to pay money to go take a course or a class for about a few years to learn Chinese, to learn and write in Arabic, to learn Spanish? How many of us are going to sit up there and do that? How many of us are going to sit up there and do it? And I'm just being honest. Because 9 times out of 10, when you talk to Black people in the Black community, like, yo, man, I got it's a lot of stuff on my plate. A lot of stuff I got to sit up there and worry about. A lot of stuff I got to deal with. I ain't worried about learning a different language. I ain't learned about, writing in somebody else's, yada, 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 and all this other type of stuff. That's normally what is going to happen 99.9% of the time. So when I say that it's an L, I mean just that. The only way it's not an L is if in droves, us as a community really start rolling out there to like these different classes. We start hitting up Rosetta Stone, Babbel, or whatever it is to really learn these languages so that we can be competitive. Like I said, the main thing I keep stating on this channel a multitude of times is that there are a lot of things. There are things outside of our control, and there are things within our control. Things within our control is how it is that our kids are taught, what it is our kids are taught, how it is that they are able to be competitive directly out here, not just in the United States, but also in the global aspect as well. And when I think about the global aspect and I look at that, our kids are not being able to compete. They are not competitive. Yes, we have some outliers. Yes, we have some variables out there that are geniuses, that are smart, that are entrepreneurs, that are inventors. Yes, we have some exceptional ones out there, but that is not the majority, and that is the problem. Every other group, every other race out here is being competitive, both in the United States and in the world. Where are Black people? Where are the Black children out here? Where are they at on that map? I don't see them. And that's saddening. That is disheartening. It should not be a thing. This is why I keep consistently stating that adults do not care about the kids. I state that for a variety of videos. And I mean exactly what I say. Because if we in the Black community actually cared about the kids the way that we supposedly care about the kids, then we would make sure that they are 1,000% better than us. It should be a stark difference. Education-wise, when it deals with our generation versus our kids. They should be in Andromeda somewhere, but they're not. They're sitting up there at the moon, and we think that that's great. It's not. You got a whole solar system out here, and education-wise, the kid is just basically sitting at the moon. Anybody can reach the moon if they got the ability and the technology to do so, which a lot of nations do. So like I said before, we need to be shooting for something vastly different. Dorian Scott said, knock it off, Clark Kent was Superman. Actually, Clark Kent is Kal-El from the planet Krypton. Clark Kent is the name that his human parents, Ma and Pa Kent, sat up there and gave directly to him. Superman is the moniker or the name, yet again, that was given to him by humans. So let's try that again. Let's try that again. Like I said exactly what I stated. Obviously, me mentioning Clark Kent and Superman went directly over your head. And you're not understanding why it is that I listed that, but you felt the need to want to sit up there and say something because, let me bring in some comic book wisdom because he obviously doesn't know what it is that he's talking about. Like I said, people want to sit up there and try to correct people on small things, but they're not really, looking at the major scope. Not really looking at the major scope. What type of world are we building? Revolutionary minds unite, Black New World Order. I'm not exactly even sure what it is that you're even trying to state right there. But like I said before, I've been talking for about like 2 hours, and it seems as though you might have just potentially showed up here not too recently. But anyways, like I said before, the main thing is that the main aim should be is to make sure to empower the young Black community out here. It makes no sense to have people of my generation having kids continuously, pushing out these kids and then dying early and then leaving these kids out here with like no type of survival. They don't know how to sit up there and survive by themselves. They don't know how to survive when it deals with the economy of the United States, and they really don't know how to survive when it deals with the world. It's crazy. The Jomo, the book is called An American History Cuba. That is the name of the book. An American History Cuba. Let me see. Can I put a reply back real quick to the? Hold on. I was trying to do that. Let me just type it to you directly in the chat, just in case you didn't happen to see it, because I know like the chat kind of runs a little bit funny, making sure I typed your name right. Okay. Let me see. I'm a slow typer. Just give me a second. Got my keyboard kind of sideways. There we go. I said cube. It's Cuba. That typo. Oh, that typo. Oh, man, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. Let me see. Timmy said, we've been knowing English our entire lives. They should be the ones learning English, but I get it. Other races are getting the easy way of life, while Black people always have to compete. That's it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the main point. That's the main point. But it's like, my thing is, you'll have pretty much universally, this is what will happen, Tippy, right? Universally, you will sit up there and have people that will sit up there and say all around, like, oh no, black people don't need reparations. They're going to do this with reparations. They're going to do that with reparations. What do y'all need reparations for? What are you going to use? They'll have all of these questions, all of these things, right? And you'll especially have those who are not American, right? I'm sorry, those who are non-black. They'll specifically sit up there and state that reparations will bankrupt the United States of America. It's a hindrance. It's this, it's that, and all this other type of stuff, right? Worried about what black people will do with that money. They're worried about it because it's a sense of fear. Because realistically, the main fear that has always been there is that if black people ever reach a point in time where they are in power or have a type of power, they fear that black people are going to treat them the exact same way that they've treated black people in the past. And the main thing that I keep consistently telling people is that if that was the case, then black people would have been done that a long time ago. But that's obviously universally where black people are not there. And I'm going to generalize that one because you can look at Africa, you can look at North America. If at any point in time that black people actually had that mindset, then the things going on in both of these areas would not be the same thing. But obviously, we see what's taking place. But that's what happens when you have people that are so mind warped and wrapped up in a certain type of fear that they feel that what it is that they've done, other people are going to do directly to them. So they're living directly within their own hell because of the things that they have done or their ancestors or the people before their ancestors have done directly to Black Americans, directly to the indigenous, the FBA, the adios, whatever people want to sit up there and label themselves as. Because I know people have a lot of different titles and names and brandings that they decide to sit up there and go by. Right? And all I'm saying is, the same thing is like, black people gotta start picking it up. Just being real. If we want our kids to make it, realistically, we should be the examples for that. But that's putting too much pressure and too much directly on that generation. So I gotta technically, hopefully, put that directly on, the group that I feel that might have a great shot at potentially doing something, which is the younger generation. I'm just going to sit up there and be honest. And I'm saying that due to the fact of I done seen so many black people either around my age or older arguing and bickering, can't stay directly on the exact same key, and want to sit up there and argue and bicker over like the smallest things, not the big picture, but the smallest things. And there's so many people that want to be a ruler or in control of a lot of things. People don't know how to like share the stage and do, like I said, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that I see. And these are the reasons why I state the things that I state when it deals with the black community, people of my generation and older. These are things that I have seen, that I have witnessed. These are things that I have been a part of. And these are things that are currently going on at this moment in time. So, just saying. I just want what is best for the black community, hoping, things will actually sit up there and work out. Again, much love, respect, and appreciation to any and everybody that has, the gentleman said, you already said you about learn languages. I did a level 1 Japanese course, and even with basic, it opened many opportunities. Remember that black YouTuber that spoke many languages in past? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's the other aspect. Let me just highlight that real quick. Let me just highlight that. And I know who he's talking about. There was a black YouTuber. It was a black dude. He was dope. He would basically, in a sense, it would sort of kind of be like prank videos. He would go up to some of the Asians there, and he would speak directly in their language, right? And they would be completely thrown off and shocked. And the moment in time, as he kept talking, And as he showed how fluent he is, and they started talking to him, they'll throw something out there to see if he caught it. They would get even more and more and more amazed by what it is that he was able to do. Right. And because of that, they respected him because of that. Right. Like I said before, and that opened up a door for him. He was able to create a YouTube channel that what garnered hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views off of what specifically it is that he was able to do. Just think if you had fields of black kids out here that could do the exact same thing that he was doing. Think of the opportunities that they would basically have on social media, better yet, even job wise. Do you know how many job openings there are when it comes to people who know multiple languages, who are bilingual? The positions and the amount of money that you can basically garner just due to the fact that you know a whole nother language opposite of English. And I want to remind people that English is taught in a lot of other countries. English is the first language that is taught. So on top of them knowing their own language for that area, they know English. On top of that, like a couple of the brothers that I worked with that were from Haiti, right? They knew French, they knew patois, they knew English, and I think they knew one other. So they knew about three to four languages. And that's before they got here. Before they got here, 3 to 4 languages. Like I said, it don't make no sense, man. Like I said, there is no excuse for us to be like really lagging behind like this. Like I said, I do get it. It's like, yo, the United States, like, yo, they jack up the schools and everything like that when it comes to black people and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I get that. But that doesn't mean that we can't start up our own classes. It don't take nothing to sit up there and have somebody black who is knowledgeable in languages to start up a Udemy or to start up some type of Patreon or a class or whatever it is. And you are, teaching a class full of other black people, Chinese, teaching them also how to write, how to also read it, right? The same thing when it deals with like Spanish, the same thing when it deals with Arabic, the exact same thing. Like I said, we got people out there in the community that can do this, that are very smart, very intelligent in a lot of these languages. They can do it backwards and forwards. But yet, we're not enlisting, nor are we sitting up there putting up signs saying that, hey, we need these people. We need your skill set. Right? We're sitting up there trying to go to everybody else to give us that. We got people in the community that can very easily do it. Gil said those Dell service reps barely know. I know what you're talking about. I didn't dealt with some customer service people, specifically from India, and I've had to transfer quite a few times because the communication, it just wasn't there. I would technically be better off, doing that job for the instance of dealing with, English consumers. Like I said, that's the thing that baffles me, that you have a lot of people that really don't know English at all. They're working in a English customer service area. I understand if you are working in an area specifically, for, your group, and maybe they might know a little bit of English or vice versa, whatever it is. I get that. That'll be cool. You got that translation aspect there. But if I'm coming to basically get a problem solved in less than 5 minutes, I should be able to speak to somebody who knows English, at least pretty good, right? So that we can have the communication back and forth that we need so that the problem can get situated. But again, this is what happens when a lot of companies decide that they want to outsource jobs and that they don't want to keep these jobs directly in America. And this is going back to the previous thing that I stated before about who is causing these economic problems in America. It ain't black people. It ain't black people that's sending these jobs directly overseas and everywhere else. It ain't black people that's sitting up there using these corporations and looking for tax loopholes and all this other type of stuff because we don't want to pay money for premium health insurance and all this other type of stuff and sick leave and sick days and yada, yada, yada. It ain't black people doing that. It ain't black people causing the economy to crash, every such and such months, causing resets. It ain't black people doing that. The Jomo said, "Do you speak any languages apart from English?" Um, at one point in time, I was able. I could slightly carry a conversation in Japanese at one point. If I was put back in high school, at that time, I could potentially carry a conversation, and I was pretty all right with reading Japanese characters. Katakana, hiragana, and all of that. I forgot one other one. It's three that's there, but I was all right in that area. Wasn't the best, you know, or whatnot. If I would have been able to do it for about a good 4 years, I would have been pretty good. I would have been pretty good because I would have made sure to actually keep up with it because it would have became second nature by the time of senior year, especially since I was into anime and stuff like that. Timmy said, "I tried learning Spanish. I tried and kept trying. Some people make it seem like it's easy, but it's not. No, I'm not. Again, I'm not saying that learning any type of language is easy, but it gets easier the more you sit up there and do it, right? And I'll say it like this: if you can find a language that you want to learn, that you like, and that you love, it makes it's not even a job no more. It's fun because now you're like, oh, I know how to sit up there and say this. So now you're going to be repeating this anytime that you can sit up there and say it. Like I was repeating certain Japanese sentences. I would say that all the time just because I knew how to sit up there. Just because I knew how to sit up there and say it. I was sitting up there doing it because I was ecstatic. I was like, yo, I know how to say this. I know how to basically write this, and I know how to respond to it and stuff. It was it was dope. It was dope. So I think that would make it a lot easier. Yeah, katakana. I can write basic kata and hiragana, right? Oh yeah, that's because Hack been over there. What's up? What's up, Hack? What's going on? Uh, that's because you were over there, man. You got to take a trip. I'm still mad about that. That man got to take a trip over there to Japan. How dare you come into this chat talking about how you know Japanese? How dare you? Oh man. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, as a group, black people can do it. It just depends on if black people really want to do it. If black people really want to, move towards, that goal, or at least some want to sit up there and do it. Uh, you said I'm going again in August on the 6th. Wow, this man out here just making moves, just going. You might as well just move there. You sit up here taking all these trips. It seemed like you just taking visits just to make sure that this is going to be the spot. This is what you want to sit up there and do. You might as well just move there. Like I said, it's good food, and then you're not far from like other Asian countries. You can sit up there and and venture over and eat food and see the sights and stuff. Like I said, it'd be dope. Like I said, I always wanted to sit up there and be one of those kids that was able to um wow, it's on Mount Fuji. Wow, that's dope. Like I said, I wanted to be one of those kids back in high school that was like, yo, you've been selected to sit up there and go over to this other country. And I was like, if it's Japan, I ain't looking back. I'm going. Let me tell you, I would have been there. I would have been there. I would have been, like I said, for people that live there, it's like people not really, like as ecstatic, in a sense because it's something that they see. But for us, for like specifically, I'm gonna say more so specifically for like black guys that grew up and that know about like anime and stuff, that's like a dream come true because it's like you're surrounded by everything that you've seen. You get to sit up there and see like the movies when they drop, the games when they drop, the systems when they drop. You get to sit up there and go to like the arcades. You get to sit up there and partake in both like the normal food and also like the anime and the manga food. Like, oh my god. Like I said, it's dope. It's pretty dope. It is pretty dope. need anything? What would I wouldn't even know. I'm just envisioning just being there. Like I said, one of these days, I'll sit up there and go out there to Japan as well. One of these days, because like I said, that's one thing that I've always wanted to, sit up there and do and visit a lot of like the anime areas and stuff like that. Like I said, having like authentic food from an area, dope, awesome. Let me tell you, people don't understand. People do not understand. Um, but anyways, I done kept y'all here long enough. It's about like 2 hours and 34 minutes of me yammering and talking. Much love and respect and appreciation to any and everybody that is here. Also, much love and appreciation to any of the people that might have just like subscribed and potentially ran up on and caught the live stream as well. This man sat up there and what's the name? Scott said, "I'm gonna sign up first." Oh, that man was like, "I'm about to sign up first." Hack said, "Gundam fan." Yeah, I am. That's another thing also listed as well too. I would have to like figure out some stuff. Cause like I said, they be having a lot of stuff. It don't matter if it's drinks. I'm talking about like normal, like for me I say pop or some people say soda. Normal type of like beverages, non-alcoholic. Then they also have like different types of like cereal that is only specifically in Japan. So like I said, it would take me a minute to figure out something that I would actually want to sit up there and get. Or when I had to put try to figure some stuff out. But like I said, my brain is technically murdering me right now due to the fact that I am hungry because I haven't eaten yet. So that is what I am about to do. So much love, respect, and appreciation. Hack, I probably I guess I could hit you up on the what? On Discord, I guess. Discord or something about it. Discord or I don't think you got the Xbox. You got PC though. Uh, See now people start pulling in. Old school says, Seiji, what did you think about the trailer for Mortal Kombat? It's pretty dope. I didn't see the original trailer. I watched the trailer by way of Officer Haku, aka Brandon versus the world, and the trailer's dope. The trailer's dope. I like the trailer. Um, I like everything that they're doing directly with it. Ed Boon sitting up here having fun with time travel. So it's pretty fun. It looks pretty dope. I can't wait to see the characters that are all going to be there. And I want to see how it is if they have like a season pass, how they're going to distribute those characters. Because the way that Street Fighter 6 is looking, Capcom is messing up. Like we're not gonna be getting some characters up until like next year, which is 1,000% crazy to me. That makes no sense. And it's some of the same characters that were already in Street Fighter 5. So, you know. But yeah, it looks great. It looks great. It looks awesome. I love it. I love it. So I will be. You'll more than likely catch me on that as well. Like I told y'all before, y'all going to be seeing me on Diablo as well. That is going to be taking place. That is going to be happening. Trust me. As soon as it launches, we are about to be out there. So just in case if don't nobody for some of the gamers that are left, make sure to check out Diablo. Make sure to check out Diablo. Got to take Lilith down. Let me tell you, it's going to be game time. But anyways, much love, respect, and appreciation to any and everybody that is directly here. Much love and appreciation to any of the donations that have taken place, either by PayPal, Patreon, the live stream, or Cash App as well. Shout out and much love to those who have also, subscribed and maybe stopped by the stream for a couple of seconds, or also to the people that might just happen to see this live stream later. But hopefully you guys all enjoy your day, the start to your weekend, because I think today is Friday. Have fun, love life, live life, and I will see you guys on the next live stream.